Well, welcome in once again. It is time for Ask Mike on this Monday, hoping to try to make everybody's Monday a little bit better.
We've got these questions marked.
He had to do this for me
read the answers.
because last week I was accidentally reading his answers, so I appreciate it. I got Q's and A's and markers.
Those are the answers for if you just want to read this off the internet. You don't, because I don't really say what's there. That's just kind of a kind of a written version of what I think I'm going to say.
I appreciate you doing this for me. I made this bigger for you, so we got that, and he does this for me. It's called teamwork. All right, let's get started. Got a lot of questions to get through today. So our first question comes from Razorback Faithful, who asks, if you're going to potentially limit the number of fans that can attend a game, wouldn't it make most sense to start with not offering tickets to visiting teams' fan bases? Traveling fans would be a good way to potentially spread the virus.
Yeah, if they do limit, and we don't know that they will, but if they do, that's a really good question. And as far as I know, it has not been addressed yet. The only thing that Hunter Yurachek has ever said about anything like this was a few weeks ago. He said, look, Nevada has told us they're planning to come here, and we've told Notre Dame we're planning to go there. Well, I assume what he's talking about is the players and maybe the staff people that travel. He didn't really address fans. I have gone on Facebook. I have all these Facebook people that are just Razorback fans. I don't know them, but I like to read what they say among each other because it kind of tells me what's going on out there with the fans. And they have discussed this Notre Dame thing a lot. And and they don't know either, but what they're basically assuming is that unless you're a high dollar donor, you're probably not going to have much of a chance unless you go on to StubHub or one of those, and then you're going to pay out the wazoo for those. But I haven't heard anything that they would totally eliminate visiting fans from games, but I wouldn't rule it out.
I think that's part of the experience, and yeah, it's almost a catch-22. You think that's great for Razorback fans. We'll eliminate them. Maybe more fans could come, but that means Razorback fans can't go to games either. So
I don't think that's been decided yet.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Alabama Hog says Coach Crutchfield left the U of A basketball program for a head coaching position at a D2 program. Do you have any insights into the sudden departure of Coach Crutchfield? Was it simply he's seeking to lead his own program, or were there issues with Coach Muss? Also, are you hearing any names to fill the vacancy, and who would be on your wish list?
Okay, this didn't have anything to do with Musselman.
No.
It had to do with Coach Crutchfield having a chance. In his job here, he's got two sons that are playing basketball, college basketball. He never got a chance to see them play. They are transferring to his school where he's going to be coaching. So you go from not seeing your sons at all to where they're going to play for you. And so he did that for strictly that reason. Whether he'll stay at that level once they're gone, I don't know. But that's why he did it. It didn't have anything to do with Coach Musselman. Who have I heard mentioned? Nobody. I haven't heard any names being thrown around there. I think he will come up with somebody. Wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody with NBA experience. He likes that. As far as who I would want, I would not. You wouldn't get an answer out of me because who cares? You know, I mean, Coach Musselman doesn't give a flip what I think, and I don't really have an opinion. So no, I have no opinion on who he should hire.
Why do you think, branching off of that sometimes it's assumed that there's an issue with the head coach and that's why coaches leave, when in reality, talking with Lon Kruger, who was his head coach at Oklahoma when he was coaching there before he was here, Lon said multiple times he was in the running for a head coaching job and he never got it.
Yeah. So I don't know. People they're worried about that. They're always looking for something. Oh, is Musselman, is he going to? One of the things that was the rumors that was flying around when we first heard his name, remember you talking about that? And there was a guy that didn't want him, told me this is the first person I heard the name Musselman from. It was right after Kelvin Sampson announced he was staying at Houston. And you know, Musselman's record was really impressive. He said, oh, he's mean to the media and he's hard to work for and coaches won't work for him and they constantly keep leaving. So a lot of those goofy rumors may still be in people's heads. So if a coach leaves, they might assume, oh, this guy's a jerk. But that had nothing to do with him. It had to do with the two sons and wanting them to play for him.
Absolutely. All right. Myron Rocker wants to know, is there a conference game or games that you think are must-win for the football team this year in terms of launching the program forward? I know that showing progress will be one of the main goals for this team, but fans are itching for some wins that put a bit of wind back in the sails for Razorback football. You
know, a must-win would be any SEC game because when you haven't won an SEC game in 2 years, all of them are must-win. You got to win one of them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't think fans would be picky. Just win one. Now, if you want to talk about what would be good, what they would like to see, I think A&M is always a biggie.
Yep.
Because they've got that losing streak going down in Dallas now, and the fans would love to see them break that. That might be tough this year because a lot of people at preseason are saying A&M might contend for the SEC title. I don't believe that. They got a goofy head coach,
They do.
right?
That coach. I don't know about that head coach, man. He's.
But anyway, I think Auburn would be another one that would fire people up just because of the Gus and Morris thing. But any of them would be good.
How about beat Missouri? They ain't done that in a while.
That'd be good.
Either. You can do that.
Any of them.
Any of them, that'd be fine. Okay. Okay. Also, I don't miss Bobby, but I sure miss his exciting teams and season records. Joe Adams, do you think that with Browse we'll see a return to some of the exciting offensive plays that give a reason for Razorback fans to scream until they lose their voice again? That's also from Mirrored Rocker.
Yeah, well, he has that reputation. I'm talking about Kendall Briles. Here's the issue. They haven't worked out, and it doesn't look like they're going to get any real workouts in. I'm talking about an actual real workout in until maybe August, and I think that's going to be a problem. Again, I think there was some indication from Sam Pittman, if you kind of read into what he was saying, that because of all these restrictions this summer, you may see players go off campus and run plays. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. If Kendall Briles is familiar with this offense enough that he's transmitted it to those players, then Felipe Franks knows the plays. He's been looking at this stuff for months. So any of those quarterbacks, including him, could go out there and line people up and run plays and throw it to receivers and have running backs do what they're supposed to do. I don't think it would be something where you had a defense out there and they were doing all that. But we used to see that all the time. With the voluntary workouts used to all be off campus, and players, I mean, you even had players that were smart that would go out there and kind of, run, kind of be the coach off the field, calling the plays, and then they'd go back and report to the coaches what they'd seen. So there may be a version of that going on, but I just think it's going to be hard, and we'll have to wait and see. But I think if you're looking for an offensive explosion and all this excitement and all this stuff, the one thing you have to worry about is how quickly are they going to learn this offense, and are they going to learn it in a month? Now, what you may see is them looking a lot better mid-season than they do at the start of the season.
I like it. All right, Wizard of Hogs. I like that name. I don't think we've talked about him yet. Asked how the likelihood that with a limited major league draft and a limited amount of money available for signing bonuses, if this will mean more high school seniors will go to the college route rather than signing pro contracts.
Yeah, and for a couple of reasons. I think, first of all, if you're talking about undrafted guys,
absolutely,
why wouldn't they go ahead and sign? If they've already signed a college scholarship, why would they go free agency when there's less money and uncertainty and all that stuff? I mean, the logical thing to do is go to college for 3 years, up your draft stock, and then the money's going to be available in 3 years where it is not right now. But now let's move on to guys that do get drafted, even maybe a first or second rounder. They still may look at limited money this year because of Major League's got money problems right now.
Yeah.
So they may say, you know what? If I sign right now, my bonus is going to be lower. They've got that restriction on how much you can get, $100,000 or whatever, and then it gets prorated. I don't want to mess with that. I will go ahead and go to college, up my draft stock, and then get more money later on. So definitely, no matter how you approach this, whether you're drafted or undrafted, I think this is going to be a good year for college baseball teams to get their signees on campus.
The best thing for college baseball right now is how good and competitive college baseball is compared to even single A, rookie ball, even some double A teams.
The lifestyle is just 100% better.
Absolutely, and the fact that you're right, MLB's got that signing bonus cap. So college baseball looks better than it ever has been, I think, right now, especially for these high school guys. All right, Bacon in the Saddle again says, I'm a firm believer that sports have played an important role in cultural healing. The most obvious example that I remember in my lifetime was how baseball in New York helped lift the spirits of the country after 9/11 attacks. Do you agree that in our culture, sports play an important role our nation's healing process? And what role, if any, do you think sports may play in the healing of our country as we rebound from the pandemic, civil unrest, and economic hardship?
Yeah, really important point. The thing I've been stressing is the reason I think it's important and why I think they will have college football, for instance, this fall is economic, and I've talked about that. But this is the other side of that coin. I'm not saying that everybody that went wacko and rioted last week was because of being, sheltered in place. But I think there was some of that in play. You're just stuck in your house and everybody's telling you can't go anywhere, and finally, oh, hey, it's okay to go out and run around and protest. Let's riot while we're at it. So some of that might have been people just going nuts. And so I do think it is important. I think people, when you hear somebody walking around trying to tell you that there are going to be all these new normals, I just want to slap them. I don't have to accept new normals. Maybe I'll accept it for a few months, but don't tell me that we have to live like this forever. And so what is the new normal? The new normal will be, oh, get used to not having sports. Well, no, I don't accept that. And I think we'll have it. And I think once it's here, people are going to go, wow, okay, what this is, I don't know about you, but what this has done for me is it has made me realize how much I miss what was just accepted. When I came to work in the past, okay, we're going to cover baseball. Then the baseball wasn't there. And it was like, oh, well, at least we can go over there and shoot this. No, you can't.
Yeah.
So all of us that care about college athletics in particular, which is what this show is about, I think has made us appreciate what we had, and I can't wait till it starts again. I won't take it for granted.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a better appreciation for sports and live sporting events, being able to go watch games for sure. Hob Hog asks, do you think the teams that didn't get any spring practice due to COVID-19 will be able to get any additional practice considerations in the summer, or did Coach Pittman just lose out on 15 days of practice?
Yeah, similar to the question we got asked before, but it's, again, lose out on all 15 games, probably not that much of an effect. They will get some stuff in, but what you're losing apparently is the ability to get out on the field and hit, because you do that in spring, and run plays and scrimmage and have a spring game.
Yeah.
And there's no way they're going to have that. So you're going to lose that part of it. I don't think you can have it in August, and you're definitely not going to have it until July. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. When college football starts first week in September, and there may be some games before that, I'm not sure, I haven't looked. But when that all starts, it's just going to be kind of screwed up and everybody making mistakes and a lot of bad football. And you're
bad
going,
football
oh, my
for
goodness.
a week or two.
You know, I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
All right, Swine American wants to know, did you know how Sam Pittman is going to handle access to you folks in the media to observe practices? Are there a lot of fans who would be glad to wear masks and practice social distancing and follow other strict rules for the opportunity to just watch some non-strategic practice sessions and feel a part of the program again? Correct me if I'm wrong, but neither Bielema nor Morris would let fans watch and would limit the media to 20 minutes, then make you leave. I think Sam Pittman would curry favor for himself and the program if his support staff could find a way to rotate small groups of fans to a designated area to see a few practice periods and then leave, so other fans might see some action as well. What do you think?
What happened to simple questions?
Whew,
that question was
that
so
was
long,
so
I almost
long.
forgot what he was.
The question just needs to be, do you think Sam Pittman will give more access to the media and fans?
Exactly. That's what we would ask. We can't control what you do, but we would rather have a question like that.
That was a lot.
First of all, trying to ask me right now what Sam Pittman will do, he hasn't had a single practice.
Yeah,
so we're not
no
sure.
idea.
I think there's been an indication, at least Jason told me this earlier, that we are going to be able to go over there and shoot some in August. We apparently can't shoot in June, and I don't know about July because of the NCAA calls these voluntary workouts, so the school can't even shoot it. Like, we've been getting all this off-season conditioning video from the school, and we've about run out of that stuff, and so I was hoping to get some new stuff this month, and we're apparently, because this is voluntary, the NCAA says the school can't do that. I mean, their rules are ridiculous. But anyway, that's beside the point. Whether we'll be able to shoot anything or go over and look at anything in July, I would doubt it. But apparently we can go over there, that would be the media, in August. Now, would the fans be allowed? Here's the way this always works. It's been going on since all the way back to Coach Broyles, and probably before that. If you are a high-level booster, Jim Lindsay, who was a former Razorback himself and was in the NFL and probably one of the biggest Razorback fans out there, he'd go to practice anytime he wanted to, all during those years. So people like that, yeah, they'll get to go. Average fans that just support the team, no. It's never happened, and it's not going to happen under Pittman, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's, again, everyone now in this environment that we're in, we're only there 20 minutes. because no, everyone's afraid, oh, you're going to shoot something on your phone and it's going to get out, then Auburn's going to see it and they're going to know our secrets.
Now,
and
what they do next spring may be totally different.
Yeah.
Coaches traditionally are a little less lax than, or a little less lax about what they worry about in the spring. But in the fall, when you've got preseason going on and you're about to play games, the idea that you would have fans over there, no, it's not going to happen. And they're only going to have us over there when they're running drills, so we won't see anything important.
Man, that's my favorite part of practice, shooting, stretching.
Oh, and guys running out and going, do, 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 doink.
That's the best shot. How many shots can I get while you're stretching? This is great.
While you
but
run
I'm not complaining.
While you
I'm
run
not
this
complaining.
little pass route and catch the ball like you do over and over again.
And over
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
I promise. It's a different day, same drill. Also, remember though, Bielema did let fans into the scrimmages. There were some open scrimmages for fans.
He did something that I haven't seen. In preseason, there was always one scrimmage, usually the first one, where he would let fans come over there and sit in the stadium. Because I remember them being over there. Now, we were on the other side, but he did that, and nobody else has ever done that. Coach Broyles or nobody did that before. I don't know what that was all about, but I don't think Pittman's going to allow that. I'll just guess.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Parallax Pig asks, I think that's where we are.
That's right.
Parallax Pig says, have you seen or heard any protocols on how they will handle a positive COVID-19 test after they begin contact drills or after a full scrimmage? Ooh, that's a long way down the road, buddy.
Yeah, I don't. All we know now is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And so Arkansas had a COVID positive before the person ever even got here. They tested positive. I guess they got tested before they came back and tested positive, so they're off campus in quarantine. Here's a guess. Once practices start and even in season, I figure what will happen is if you come down with symptoms, I don't think they're going to test everybody on a regular basis, but if you come down with symptoms, they'll test you. And if you test positive, you will be quarantined somewhere away from the team. And I don't know how long the quarantine lasts, if it's 2 weeks or whatever, but you won't be allowed to come back. But here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about, but it's true. When somebody gets it, and it's pretty clear real fast they're not going to be affected by it, which apparently is the case with this athlete that has remained unnamed that has it, and we don't even know what sport, that all Eurocheck said was they're doing fine. That person is doing fine. So if somebody tests positive but they're doing okay, they like that because that person cannot get it now. So I'm not saying they want to sit around and go, oh yeah, let's all get it. But what I'm saying is if you're one of these people that tends to freak out because an athlete tested positive, the issue is whether they get sick. The issue is whether they have to go to the hospital. As long as you've got guys that, oh yeah, he tested positive, but he's over in his apartment and he's okay and whatever, I don't see that as a big issue. But we're into unexplored territory with all this. None of us knows for sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tuscan, Colorado wants to know, have you heard if any NCAA, have you heard if the NCAA has any contingency plans of stopping play if some teams experience an outbreak during the football season? Alabama just had 50 players test positive for COVID-19. Is that number correct?
No, that number is incorrect.
Okay.
Where he got that, there was a story associated with the actually 5 guys tested positive.
Okay.
And in the story, they speculated that they might have gotten it because apparently around 50, the story I read, about around 50 of Alabama's players were working out off campus on their own. So the number 50 came from just the number of guys out there. And they're saying from those 50, you might have ended up with these 5 positive cases. So again, 5 cases are not unworkable.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if you get 50 guys on a team during the season? Then that probably means your season is over.
Yeah.
Now, would the NCAA shut down everything if one team had a real problem? No, I think they would just say you got to forfeit your games, but we're going to continue with everybody else. But all of this depends on how widespread it is. That's just common sense. I mean, you reach a point where if it's widespread, you're probably going to get some talk about maybe we should shut this down. But that's months from now, and we're just not sure of the likelihood of that.
It's just so hard to predict what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Lanny asks, is Hunter Yurachek's decision to allow Arkansas to play Arkansas State in sports other than football a mistake? If you agree, what if he agrees to play them in football down the road? I know you have an opinion about this.
Well, it remains to be seen if it's a mistake. But let's back up a little bit and say this, that a year and a half ago, Hunter Yurachek started this by saying that the spring sports like baseball would play schools in the U of A system. Now that was done because some of those schools had revenue problems. Arkansas didn't. So if you're going to pay a school money to come in and play you in baseball, pay a school in state that's got problems in your system. So that's why that was done. Now COVID comes along, and this is a totally different deal. He's expanded this to basketball, not football, but he's also added UCA and Arkansas State in this next thing that he's announced, and that has to do with Arkansas having money problems and wanting not to have to travel. And so if you get a series going with some of these schools, even if you occasionally go where they are, mostly they come where you are, and so you don't even have travel expenses. So it's a money thing, and he made it clear. I give him credit because he could have come up with some politically correct thing, but he was very clear when he made this announcement it was being done to save Arkansas money. Now, let's get into this whole Arkansas. Forget UCA. That's not the issue. Arkansas State is the issue. I went to an Arkansas State, Arkansas basketball in 1987 in Bud Walton Arena. It was scary. I'm not kidding you. You had maybe 200 to 300 Arkansas State fans over here on the north side with right next to the student section. That contained a lot of football players and crazy people. And they were yelling back and forth at each other, and I'm thinking, whoa, this could get out of hand. And then at the first time out, these 5 or 6 Arkansas State cheerleaders came out and they started holding up these signs saying you can run, you can't hide. You're doing that in front of 9,000 Razorback fans that are already mad. So it was a really explosive situation. It didn't get out of control, but it convinced me that if these schools ever play each other, and that game was mandated by the NIT postseason committee. And then the same thing happened to the Arkansas women about 15 years later. They went to Jonesboro and played a game. And when those girls came back, they were shell-shocked. They were not prepared for what happened, the things that were said to them when they entered the floor during the game, the stuff coming from the student body. And so here's the thing. If you play them, they're mad, because they think you should have been playing them for the last 40 years and you're not. So they're mad. Now, here's what you've got. You got people in this state that work in a job, and you're an Arkansas fan, but you got an Arkansas State fan over here, and he's been bugging you all these years about this, calling you, your guys are afraid, you won't play us. So you want to play this. You can't wait for it. And then you've got some that don't know, but what's going to happen is the first time you play, either in basketball, but definitely football, you're going to get fans in the stands, and that same thing I told you about is going to start happening, and people are going to get mad. And what causes a rivalry? It's not athletes, it's not coaches, it's fans. So when that game is over, no matter what happens or who wins, they're all going to go back to their little places where they work and all hanging out with their friends, and all they're going to talk about is, man, we hate those guys on both sides. And so what happens? This becomes a rivalry. You can't control it. Now, this is what I want to ask you.
Oh, gosh. You always turn things back on me.
Arkansas doesn't have a natural, what I would call a blood rival in the SEC. When they left the Southwest Conference, Texas, don't play them hardly ever, there's no blood rival, somebody you hate. Okay, you know about those rivals going to Florida State. What if I told you that instead of Florida State's rival now is going to be Central Florida?
No,
what would that do?
Terrible.
That would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Yes.
What if I told Texas, hey, Longhorns, from now on your big rival is UTEP? It's not Oklahoma, it's UTEP.
UTEP.
Any of these things. If I told LSU, you can't have a big rivalry with A&M.
It's Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, or Tulane or somebody. They'd be like, what? But that's what will happen here. Yeah. And let me just tell you, it will be great for Arkansas State. Absolutely fabulous for them, but what do you do? What does this do for Arkansas? It means your blood rival is a team that's not in your conference, has a 30,000 seat stadium. It's not a level playing field, and you won't be able to control it. I'm telling you, once these fans get used to mixing with each other in state, they will hate each other, and the rivalry will be on, but it's not going to be Alabama-Auburn.
Yeah.
It's going to be this weird thing, and Arkansas fans are just going to have to accept it. So I hope Hunter Yurachek knows what he's doing.
Way to go, Lanny. Way to rile him up. I will have to say your fan correct. Miami fans are so mean. They're so mean.
Yeah.
And my husband is an Arkansas
Well,
State
this
alum.
happens. This happens.
But he's an Arkansas fan, so
I'm not trying to disparage Arkansas State. My nephew played for them,
Yeah.
and he was a good player. And I don't have anything against him. I just know what will happen.
Yeah.
Because once you play this, you can't go back.
Hey, who won that game in Barnhill, by the way?
Arkansas won it, but they were behind for a good part of the game.
All right. All right, last question. Thankfully, because you all riled up. Arkansas Redneck wants to know, did Sam Pittman do the right thing showing up at the protest rally in Fayetteville last week?
Yes, he did. And it was smart for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm not going to get into the politics of all the rallies and everything, but you have to understand that a great percentage of athletes on any college football team are going to be black athletes, and it is an important issue with a lot of them. So as a coach, it's important that you show that you understand where they're coming from. So he goes and he takes those that are around him, because remember, they weren't all back last week, but he takes those that he knows where they are and he takes them to the rally and he goes with them. Well, what better way to show that you're kind of, I understand you, I understand where you're coming from, I understand the need to solve this issue one way or the other, I'm here with you. But the other thing he did was by being there, and I don't know that this happened, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing before they ever went over there to the downtown square where this was, he said, look guys, I'm going to keep an eye on this thing. I mean, it starts to get out of control, something weird starts going on, the cops may start getting involved or something, somebody start throwing something, we're out of there. I don't want you anywhere around if there's some kind of interaction between the protesters and the police. So it was a safety issue that he took care of, but he also stood by them. And I think it was a win-win all the way around. It shows how smart he is. He's a good coach.
Well, you've seen a lot of coaches around the nation stand up for their players and be willing to listen and support the
But how
things
many
that
of them
are
actually
going
went
on.
out to the protest?
That you're 100% right. I don't know that. But I know
that's
that
the
there's a
good
lot
way
of
to
statement.
show
I
them
mean,
is-
actions speak louder than
Yeah,
words.
it's not just lip service, but by
Yeah.
the same token, you can also keep an eye on them if you do that.
Absolutely. All right, great crop of questions this week. Hit up Mike next week, throughout the week, so we can have more good questions coming up next Monday on Ask Mike. Until then, have a great rest of your week, everybody. We'll see you next Monday.